Launching a YouTube ad is just the beginning. Once you hit that button to go live, you're suddenly hit with a wall of numbers and data that you know is supposed to mean something, but you have no idea how to read them. And if you could only understand what you should be looking for, you'd be able to turn off campaigns that aren't doing good and scale up the ones that are absolutely winning. And in today's video, I have a tutorial for you where I'm going to show you exactly how to analyze your numbers. So in a moment, I'm going to take you into my YouTube ad dashboard. And before I show you the numbers that you should be looking for, we're going to talk about something just as important, which are the numbers to avoid, the useless data that is only confusing you and is not helpful. So we're going to start there. But first, check this out. So as you can see, we're inside my ad dashboard. And before we get into the tutorial, I think it's important you know that I'm actually someone that's out here doing this. I'm not just talking the talk. This is one of our primary ad accounts, and we've spent close to £2 million in this ad account profitably. We've generated 121,000 conversions, and a conversion is anything between a lead and a sale. And some of these are high ticket sales that are worth $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to us as a company. We've had 8.5 million views on our ads, and we've had 63 million impressions. An impression is someone being exposed to our ad. In fact, across all of our ad accounts, we've accumulated well over 100 million impressions, which is just kind of crazy. Now, this video is perfect for you if you've already launched your ads and now you need to read your numbers, but it's also going to be really helpful for you if you are just about to hit that button and launch an ad, because now you'll know what to look for and you won't just be hit with a bunch of numbers that are just confusing and overwhelming. So there's a bunch of different areas of the Google ad dashboard. If we navigate to campaigns, this is where you set up a YouTube ad campaign, and then there's loads of different things underneath that. But let's pay attention just real quick over here on the right hand side. We can see a bunch of different columns that have a bunch of different numbers. Now these columns can be customized. So if we go ahead and click on columns and then edit columns, you'll see that we've got a lot of options here. And we've got recommended columns. If we click this drop down, there's a few things in here that we can take a look at. Performance has many, many more. The ones that I've got ticked in blue are the ones that currently are active on the account. The ones that are unticked are ones that I do not expose myself to at this point in time. But there's loads more. I mean, check this out. There are so many drop downs and so many options. If I was to tick all of these columns, then I would have a never-ending scroll from left to right of just data that is so confusing and so overwhelming. So the first thing that I have to stress is that 99% of all of this stuff is completely irrelevant. We do not need to know interaction rate. We do not need to know engagements. We do not need to know engagement rate. We do not need to know watch time. We do not need to know average CPE. There's so many of these things that are actually just going to confuse you and distract you. So first lesson, and I'm going to tell you which columns to focus on in just a second, but first lesson is you want to have most of this unticked. So pay attention at this point, because this is really important stuff. And if you miss this, then the rest of the video is not going to make any sense. I want to simplify this whole process for you. There are 3 pillars of data that you should be focusing on, and you can pretty much make decisions on which ad campaigns are doing well and which ones aren't based on these 3 things. In fact, there might be an ad campaign that in some areas is doing good and some other areas is doing bad, and with these 3 pillars you can identify that and make the appropriate changes. So the first pillar, and if you're not already, I suggest taking notes and writing this down, is CPC. That stands for cost per click. We want to make sure that we're getting clicks on our YouTube ads, and we want to make sure that we know how much we're paying for a click. And I'm going to give you some benchmark numbers for that in just a second. The second pillar is CPL. That stands for cost per lead. This is how many of those clicks are now turning into leads, and how much is it, of course, costing us to acquire that lead. The third and final pillar is CPS, which stands for cost per sale. How much is it costing us to acquire the sale that this particular ad campaign is leading to? Now, cost per sale is closely linked to something else called VPS, which is value per sale, and that is not necessarily something that you're going to see inside of your ad account, but it's something that you'll just know because of your business. So allow me to explain. We've got CPS and we've got VPS, so we want to know the cost and the value of a sale. If you are selling a $1,000 program, that is your value per sale. Your value per sale is $1,000 because that's the cost. If you had any relevant upsells and you knew on average what the upsell take was, then of course you would divide that by the average, and now you have and perhaps a value per sale of 1,126, taking into account how many people on average take upsells. But let's just keep this example really simple. You sell a $1,000 product and that is it. So VPS is 1,000. So now when we're running a YouTube ad campaign, the most important number of everything else is that CPS, that cost per sale. Because if we are generating sales for less than the value of a sale, then our ad campaigns are profitable. If our cost per sale is $450 and the value per sale is the $1,000 that we've been working with, then we're over 2 to 1 on our ad spend. We are profitable. Now here's where this gets interesting, because I like simplicity. I have learned scaling an 8-figure marketing education company that the big thing we have to focus on is simplicity. As soon as something becomes complex, as soon as your business becomes chaotic, as soon as there's too many numbers that you're trying to manage, you will struggle to scale. We scale by keeping the operation as simple as possible. So check this out. If your CPS is looking good, if it is profitable, if you are into a profitable ROI, that is the only number you need to look at. Now, many people will tell you that even if an ad campaign is profitable, maybe you've got multiple ad campaigns that are profitable. So you should be turning off the ones that are least profitable and only scaling the ones that are most profitable. I don't think that's the case. I think we should only turn YouTube ad campaigns off if they are not profitable. Whether I'm profitable by $100 or I'm profitable by $1,000, why would I sacrifice $100? I would keep that on. So the point I'm getting at here is that we don't even need to look at CPL or CPC if our CPS is profitable. So now let's move to CPL. When and why would we pay attention to that? Well, we'd only pay attention to it if our CPS is not profitable. If we have spent $100 and we have not yet made a sale, then we can't look at CPS, can we? Because there's no sale to work with. Or we've spent $500 and the value of a sale is $200, therefore we are clearly in a negative. So then we're going to move away from looking at CPS, and now we're going to see whether there was a bottleneck further on in the process, because we must analyze our cost per lead to determine whether we had enough leads coming through the process that we could have even achieved a customer. Think about this. If you did not have a customer for $500 in spend, we should not be defaulting to our sales pages and assuming there's a problem there because the sales page isn't converting. If we were to look at the cost per lead and find out that actually our cost per lead was $500, meaning we generated one single lead. So for us to generate a customer, we would have needed to convert at 100%. Well, of course, that's perhaps not possible. So now it's clear that the problem was the CPL. $500 for a lead, that is way too expensive for obvious reasons. So we need to work on that. So we can isolate the problem now and work on getting our cost per lead down. And that's where we would now focus on the landing page, the opt-in page. So we would be working on our headline copywriting, the page design. We'd be making sure that we're targeting the right people coming into that landing page that are most likely going to opt in. And then you guessed it, it's the same process of elimination to go down to CPC, cost per click. If we're not generating leads at the rate that we're looking for, if we're not generating leads at the cost that we're looking for, then it might be that we're not getting any clicks on the ad yet, or we're not getting a cost per click at the right price. So imagine if you had only spent $3, okay, and you didn't have a sale and you didn't have a lead. Well, actually the issue is you haven't spent enough yet. $3 is not enough to know if an ad campaign is working. But now let's imagine that you've spent $50 and you've only generated one click and 0 leads. Well, we would look at the 0 leads and go, well, that's not right. Let's go to the previous pillar and we're going to see that it's costing us $50 for a click, and that's way too expensive. So now we're not going to mess with the sales page. We're not going to mess with the landing page. We're actually going to focus on getting our clicks up, which would indicate that there was an issue with the video ad itself and the people that we're showing it to. For obvious reasons. Those people that are currently seeing the ad are not seeing any value in clicking. So we've got to change the video and or the audience that we're displaying that video to. In fact, quick tip, that is usually the issue with YouTube ad campaigns. It's nothing to do with the numbers in the dashboard or even the targeting. It's the fact that most people don't know how to script a YouTube video ad that is built for conversion and is profitable. And I've got a free gift for you. It's called the 60-second script. After spending millions on these ads and generating many, many millions more, I've crafted a script and I want to give it to you. I basically tell you exactly what to say and do all the way through your video so that within 60 seconds, you can have a highly profitable, highly effective YouTube ad. There's a link in the description box. There's also a QR code right there. So grab out your phone if you're watching this on desktop, scan that code, and you can grab that gift completely for free. So the next thing I want to get into is very important. I want to give you benchmarks. I want you to know CPC, CPL, and CPS, where should you be? Because off the back of this video so far, you might leave feeling like you've got some new head knowledge. You know what you should be looking for, but perhaps you don't know the exact benchmarks, the numbers that would be most appropriate. So let's start with CPC, cost per click. You should be looking for anything around $2 or cheaper. $2 per click is pretty good. $1 per click is fantastic. 50 cents per click is awesome. Anything less than that is absolutely phenomenal. We have clients of ours that are still generating a cost per click of 10 cents and their YouTube ad campaigns are wildly profitable. So those numbers are still very, very possible, but I would work with a number of $2 so that you're in the nice safe zone. Now let's look at CPL. What should you be looking for? Well, we want to be anywhere between $5 to $10 cost per lead. Anything lower than $5 is absolutely fantastic. Anything over $10, you just need to make sure that you can still make those numbers work. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, if I'm spending $20, $30, $40, $50 on a lead, but it's profitable, then I don't care. I really could not care less. However, if I need to squeeze the numbers a bit, if my cost per sale needs to come down, then there's a ripple effect from the cost per lead and I need to get that down. So therefore, anything over $10 is where there should be a question mark over it, and perhaps we need to bring it back down into that $5 to $10. And finally, CPS, cost per sale. I unfortunately can't give you a benchmark for that because it's obviously connected to your value per sale. If your value per sale is $50 or if your value per sale is $5,000, then of course your cost per sale benchmark is going to change and adapt dramatically. So only you will know that number, but hopefully after watching this video, you feel more equipped to know what to look for. Now, what I'm about to teach you right now is so important. Make sure you're paying attention. If your ad campaign is not producing the results you want, your cost per click is too high, or your cost per lead is too high, what on earth do you do? It's a very simple process of elimination at this point. And I'll tell you what it is. There are three things different to the three pillars of data we're looking for. If the data is not correct, if we need to improve the numbers, then now there are three things that could be the offender and we need to tweak. The first one is the ad creative. It's the video itself. And of course, I've told you about our free resource that you can get by scanning that code. So that's the first piece, the video creative. The second piece is the audience that you're showing that video to. And the third piece is the landing page that you're sending those people to. Now, if your cost per click or cost per lead is not where it needs to be, there is a combination of those three things that if we just move around, we will eventually get to a point where a YouTube ad campaign starts to work. It might be that you're targeting a really good audience with a really good landing page, but the video creative absolutely sucked. Or it might be that you had a fantastic video creative, you were targeting the perfect audience, but the landing page was atrocious. Or it might be that you had a really good video ad and you had a really good landing page, but you were showing it to the wrong audience. It always comes back to those three things. And if you can tweak this and optimize this and keep playing with it, then you will eventually get something that starts to work. My advice to you is making sure that all the way through those three things, the message is congruent and makes sense for the audience. So here's the order that I usually like to think about this. First, I'm going to shoot my YouTube ad. That's the first one. I'm going to decide exactly who I'm trying to speak to, who is my offer most appropriate for, and then I'm going to shoot that ad with my 60-second script, saying and doing all the right stuff to speak to those people and tell them what to do next. The second thing I do is then work on the landing page. I make sure that on my landing page, the headline, the copy, the details perfectly match up with the video that I've just shot, right? If somebody is watching that video and likes what I've said and has clicked the button, it's common sense that when they click and go to the landing page, that the messaging there needs to have been congruent, that it needs to have made sense. The third thing is then the audience. And the audience is usually last. The audience is the thing that I test most frequently. I'm usually very happy that I've got a good video, and I'm usually very happy that I've got a good landing page, and showing those two things to different audiences can often have dramatically different results. So I'm going to start with my first audience. I'm going to decide who I want to show that ad to. And if the whole ad campaign doesn't work, my first port of call is to choose a new audience and then show the same video and the same landing page to a new audience. And it's only after I've tried 2 or 3 different audiences that if the numbers are still not where they need to be, that would lead me to think, okay, perhaps the video itself is not connecting. And then of course, I'd also work on the landing page as well. With these 3 things, if you just follow what I've said to you in this video and you just keep tweaking those 3, you will eventually have an ad campaign that works. So thanks so much for watching today's video. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. If it was, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're putting out new content like this every single week. I'd love to have you subscribed to the channel. It really helps us out. And also, if you want to learn more about how to put profitable YouTube ads together, I've got another video that you might like right here. So go check that out, and I'll see you in the next video.